Let's talk about what's going on, because you know who was elected twice for repeatedly making these promises on the campaign trail. Take a look.
We're going to stop the reckless and costly policy of regime change. For decades, our politicians spent trillions of dollars rebuilding foreign nations, right? Fighting foreign wars and defending foreign borders. But now we are finally protecting our nation. They said, he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars.
But this weekend, well, he had other plans. He launched a massive military strike against Iran, which was met with very strong reactions in D.C. and around the world. Take a look.
Ayatollah Khamenei is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands. 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action. As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. And sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is.
The president has started a war of choice. I saw no intelligence that Iran was on the verge of launching any kind of preemptive strike against the United States of America.
It won't be the billionaire kids of Donald Trump and his buddies that die. It's going to be the children of middle-class and poor families all across this country.
We didn't start this war, but under President Trump, we are finishing it. It took the 47th president, a fighter who always puts America first, to finally draw the line after 47 years of Iranian belligerence.
So I want to note that this morning, a 4th soldier was declared dead. So are Americans going to support another military operation in the Middle East right now? I mean, we've had kind of a checkered past in going into the Middle East and not taking care of business. So I open it up. What do you think?
I don't think they're going to support it if the President of the United States does not make a case and clearly explain why we went in there and what the end game is. And look, I'm not an Iran expert, and I'm not going to pretend that because I spent 2 days watching former generals on CNN explaining this, I understand the Middle East. But I am a regular American, and I can tell you my reaction, and it was mixed feelings, because when I heard that the Ayatollah was dead, I shared in the celebration of so many Iranians around the world, and including in the United States. I thought of Mahsa Amini, yes. The journalist who was stopped by the morality police and cruelly, brutally killed. I thought of Vida Rabbani. I thought of my friend Tom Al-Ganyan, whose uncle was executed by the Ayatollah in '79. And that is one part. But I also have such anxiety. I am furious that we are going into war yet again without congressional approval. I am furious that the American people have not been brought into this. I am furious that we are doing this alone. Yes, Israel is part of it, but I look at Donald Trump and I look at Netanyahu and I see 2 leaders who I think politically they benefit from war. Netanyahu is facing criminal charges for corruption back home. Donald Trump is facing very low numbers and Epstein files that are not, and we will not let go away. And so, I think that's where a lot of Americans are. That we're happy that the Ayatollah is dead. He's brutal regime. And let me just say one more thing. Trump has, I think, changed since Venezuela. I think I think he thought Venezuela was incredibly successful, and he's been making comparisons with what happened in Venezuela with what's happening in Iran. I don't know Iran, I know Venezuela. Maduro was a piddly little third world dictator. Venezuela is not Iran. Iran has terrorist cells all over the world that they can activate. Venezuela was one and done. They went in there, they extricated Maduro, and that was the end of that. This certainly is not that. He's already told us it could be 4 or 5 more weeks of strikes. We are seeing retaliation by the Iranians that the Venezuelans didn't have the ability to do. So I think that that he's in love with this idea of being the conqueror and the emperor after Venezuela. He's got this Napoleonic complex. He thinks he's
Right.
Alexander the Great.
Right.
But Venezuela is not Iran.
I mean, I respect. I so respect where you come from, Anna, on this and your ability to like broadly think about it and have heart in it. I also think it's very easy to have political concussion at this point where, and I actually had a concussion a year ago, one of the side effects was losing depth perception, where you can't see the depth of what is going on because you're just being constantly barraged by information or political opinion and now war. Understandably, the Americans are fatigued with the idea of war. We get that, right? We sit here and we know the repercussions of it, including the death. And I do want to say our hearts are with the families of those fallen soldiers. Your sacrifice will not be squandered. This war will be won. I do think it's threefold. One, we have 47 million Iranian women who now have a hope of freedom. That's a good thing, okay? We have an disgusting, disgusting terrorist regime ended. And the people finally have hope to create their own nation again. Okay, so that's the hope. When we zoom out in geopolitical realm, okay, which is not my specialty either, but we have a ton of friends in the military who specialize in this. We see that this is actually avoiding a boots on the ground war with China when we are able to choke their oil supply, and the president and our military are exemplary in doing so right now. They've cut the oil supply from Venezuela, and they've now reduced it and choked the oil supply to China in Iran. And now what that does is presumably prevent China from having an absolute stronghold on the globe. So this is a strategic move geopolitically that we may not fully understand, but I absolutely trust that this is best for our
Can I
nation,
ask
and we
you,
should be America
what
first.
makes you
Hold
think that
on,
the
Anna.
regime has ended?
Let Sunny do
well,
what
that
she's
was
doing.
The
that
leader
one of
is the absolute Ayatollah is dead.
Well,
But I'm
The
old
people-
enough to
well, okay,
remember.
ND,
I'm
I get
old
it.
enough to remember
let's not do this
1989.
crosstalk thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Finish your sentence.
I was just going to say, you know, the bottom line is that this is an illegal war. This is an unconstitutional war. Only Congress can wage war and declare war. And so that's the first thing. I think we have to call a thing a thing. So this is an illegal war. This is a presidential war. I will also say, I think what Anna was about to say, did the regime really change? No. At this point, Donald Trump has come out and said, I had some choices for who would lead, but they are dead now, too. And so now you have people that are in Iran picking their own people. So you don't have a regime change, just like you don't have a regime change in Venezuela. Also, what I'll say is it's very, very easy to start a war, right, without a plan. It's very difficult to end a war. We've seen in Russia invading Ukraine, thinking that it was going to be over. It's 5 years later, 610,000 Russians are either maimed or killed. No, 1.2 million Russians maimed or killed. We've got 600,000 Ukrainians maimed or killed. That war is not over. I thought this was going to be the president of peace. I thought this president wanted to win a Nobel Peace Prize for peace. That is not what I'm seeing. I am not seeing America first. I think people that voted for Trump, I was not one of them. I think you were. Those people wanted America
I proudly
first.
voted for Trump
Yes, you
because
did.
the alternative was not
Yes,
great, and
yeah,
we would
yes, you did.
absolutely be under the wrong power if the
but
alternative
actually,
came
let me
to
just
power.
finish.
I'm going to stop everybody because we're going to go and come back and we can continue the conversation then.